All right, so let's start with the first one. You are told that line L is shown in the XY coordinate plane below. Alicia drew line P with a slope that is half of the slope of line L. So the first thing I noticed is that there's another line, not the one graphed, and it has half the slope, and it also has y-intercept that is 3 times the y-intercept that this one has. So I need to figure out the slope and the y-intercept and then do everything that he did on them. I'll first start with the slope. So how do I find the slope? The slope, whenever I'm given graph or points or a table, it's rise over run. I can either use 2 points, like for example this point here and this point there, and then use the rise over the run, which means I'll have -2 and 0, that's the first point, and the other point is 0 and 2. Get the rise, which would be 2 minus 0 over 0 minus -2. That's 2 over 2, which is 1. So the slope apparently is 1. That's one way. Another way is just to calculate the rise over the run. So apparently I have here a rise of 2 and a run of 2. So the slope is 2 over 2, which is 1. So you can either get it from the graph right away using the rise over the run, or you can use points with x and y coordinates and get the slope. Anyway, they said that the slope is half the slope of this one. So it's actually, this line has a slope of half. Line P on the other hand has a slope, of half. This one has a slope of 1. The line P has a slope of half this one, so half 1. When you look at the choices, there's only one choice that has the slope of half. So there's no need to work on the y-intercept. But if you've noticed anyway, the y-intercept here is 2. So they said that they did 3 times the y-intercept. So 3 times the 2 would get me 6. So it's the same y-intercept as I got here. Does this make sense, everyone?
Yes.
Okay, give me 1 second. All right. Number 22. One angle measure and 2 side lengths in the inches are given in the right scalene triangle below. Since it's called a scalene or a scalene triangle, I can tell right away from this word that each side is not equal to the other one. So A and B are not equal. In terms of A and B, what's the sign of theta? So apparently this is theta. I'll ask myself, what do I know about the sign? The sign is supposed to be opposite over hypotenuse, and the cosine is supposed to be adjacent over hypotenuse, while the tan is supposed to be opposite over adjacent. So if I'm talking about this angle, the opposite is this side here. This is what's considered the opposite. And the one in front of the 90, that's what we consider the hypotenuse. While the one next to the angle, that's what we call the adjacent. The adjacent and the hypotenuse would change if we decided to talk about another angle. Yani for example, if we're talking about this angle here, then this would be the opposite, and that would be the adjacent. But the hypotenuse never changes its position. It's the side in front of the 90 always. Anyway, to get back to this specific question, you are asked to find sine, and we know that sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So the opposite to sine is, to the theta, sorry, is A. Over, I need to find the hypotenuse. I know the opposite, but I don't know the hypotenuse. So how can I get the hypotenuse if I'm given two side measures? In any right triangle, if I have both legs and I'm trying to find the hypotenuse, I should go with the Pythagorean theorem and do the first one to the power of 2 plus the second one to the power of 2. This is what's supposed to give me the hypotenuse right away. This is the hypotenuse. So when I'm trying to find the sine of theta, it's A over this, because A over the hypotenuse, opposite over the hypotenuse. So then the answer in this case is H. Is that okay?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. Type going on to 23. Each side of square ABCD has a length of 50 centimeters. A certain rectangle whose area is equal to the area of ABCD has a width of 10. What is the length of the rectangle? So first thing I noticed is that they said there's a square. So I know right away that there is a square and there's also a rectangle. For this square, each side is 50 centimeters. And they said a certain rectangle, another rectangle, has the same area as this one. So what's the area of this one? The area apparently of the square is supposed to be side times side, which is side to the power of 2. In other words, it's 50 to the power of 2. This is the area, which is 2500 or 2500. So apparently the area of this one as well, of the rectangle as well, is the same because they share the same area. While you're told that the width of the rectangle is 10, so this side is 10 and this side is 10. You were asked to find what's the length of this one or that one. So how do I find the area of a rectangle? It's supposed to be length times width. The length apparently is x and the width is 10, so 10 times x should give me the area, which is equals to 2500. Then if I need to find the value of x, I'll just move the 10 to the other side by division. So 2500 divided by 10, and that gives me that the value of x is 250. So E, that's the value of the length of the rectangle. Does this also make sense? Not so much. Would you like me to repeat something? Yani, maybe it does make sense and you're still taking time to understand, but you want me to repeat it again, or maybe I did something a bit faster than expected. So if you want me to just repeat something quickly all over again, let me know about that. Okay. Yes. Okay. Now moving to 24. You are asked to find, or you're given f of x and g of x first, and then you're asked to find f times g of x. Fg means they're multiplied. So first I need to multiply both functions and then start checking what will be the answer. I need to multiply the 5x to the power of 2 minus 6x plus 1. I need it multiplied by the x squared minus 2. The moment you start solving this and start to distribute, because of course we need to distribute, no matter what, we have to distribute. Once you start the distribution, you'll realize right away you can figure out the answer without really continuing through everything else. Actually, first and second, let's see. So 5x squared multiplied by x squared is supposed to give me 5x to the power of 4. If I just multiplied this by this. Then 5x squared multiplied by negative 2 is negative 10x squared. Start looking at the choices and you'll realize that F is definitely incorrect and K is incorrect. Now let's work through the rest. The negative 6x multiplied by x squared will give me negative 6x to the power of 3. Then the negative 6x multiplied by negative 2 is positive 12x. Apparently there are no like terms so far. Once we then multiply the 1 times the x squared, I'll have another x squared here. And then 1 times negative 2 is just the negative 2. Something doesn't add up. Did I miss something? I think I did. No. So anyway, let's continue. So 5x to the power of 4, and then I have negative 10x squared, and then positive 10x squared. That's negative 9x squared, and that's none of the options. Let me get checked it. No, there's nothing wrong so far. Ah, okay. Yes. Yes. Now, and I just wanted to confirm that 9x squared is not there, but yes, I just saw it right there. Yes. So then it's just this one, and then plus the 12x, which is that one, and then the minus 2. This is, yes, the correct answer. So this leads in, I'm looking for, I should put this one actually here and this one there because of the correct order. So J must be the correct answer. صح. Does this make sense? Even though you've explained it, does this make sense to you?
So, yeah, if fx are and we multiply by.
I think the internet connection is not so good because the voice is lagging. Would you repeat that again?
In parentheses, if
Yeah.
fg are together, like f that's the rule.
Okay, so if let's say I have fg this way of x, that which is just like this one, I multiply the f and the g. But if I have f and then this o g of x, this means I'll put the g inside the f. If I have f plus g, for example, of x, that means I'll add f of x to g of x. Is that the question? Because I think again it was lagging, so I wasn't really clear. Was that what's it about?
Yes.
Okay. So this symbol here, the O empty symbol, means I'm supposed to find f of g. But if I have something like this, f and then a solid circle كده g, this means they're actually multiplied زي ما احنا عملناها دلوقتي. Just like what we did now. So these means they're multiplied, but the other ones اللي هو f of this one is the same as f of g of x. So I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, برضو I hope you'll ask. $25. A bag contains 12 red, 14 yellow, 8 green. How many additional red marbles must be added to the 34 red marbles already in the bag so that the probability of randomly drawing a red marble is 3/5? So I have apparently red, yellow, and green. And I know that the red is 12, the yellow is 14, and the green is 8. I need to add to the red ones a specific number of red balls. So I'll add to the red, which is the 12. I'll add a number that I don't know, so that the probability of selecting red, اللي هو red, over the total, which is the 34, plus the same amount of x, would be equals to 3/5. Let me explain what just happened. So generally, when I'm trying to find the probability of anything, it's supposed to be the wanted over the total. So if they said that the probability of red needs to be 3/5, that means that I need up here the red over the total balls altogether to be 3/5. Right now, they're actually 12/34. Right now, they're not 3/5, they're actually 12/34. But I'm going to add a number of red marbles that I don't know. And whatever I'm going to add to the red marbles will increase the total with the same amount. So if I added 3 marbles to the red, the total will become 37. If I added X marbles to the red, the total will become 34 plus X. I need this to become 3/5. So if I need now to find the answer, I'll just cross multiply to find the value of X. I'll put 5 multiplied by 12 plus X, and then equals 3 multiplied by 34 plus X, or you can just go for shift solve right away. If you do those the longer, using the algebra, this will become 60 plus 5X equals 102 plus 3X. I'll move the 3X to this side and the 60 to the other side, so I'll have 2X equals 42, which means X is equals to 21. So I need to add 21 red marbles, so the probability of selecting a red marble would increase to 3/5. Is this clear? This is a very important question. Is this clear?
Yes.
Okay, let's head to P6 right away. Now, P6 is looking a bit more confusing. It's not that hard, but it looks a bit more confusing. So let's try it out right away. I strongly recommend that you do read the questions, even specifically the long ones, and give it the chance to be read in a way that's easy. Don't expect it to be hard from the very beginning, because it's not. Once you actually bardo read it, I think it will be much easier for you to understand. Let's start with P6. I'll give you 7 minutes for this one right away from the beginning, so hopefully we will fit them in. And 6 minutes starts now. I think most of you, I think, got this one right. Just want to confirm if you all got it right. Just give me 1 second. Okay, with one tiny thing. Okay, I'll explain it for you quickly. It says here, Megan and Louisa are side by side at point A in the figure shown below. So they're both here. When they began to run at the same time, clockwise, around a small circular track, Megan runs at a rate of 40, while Louisa runs at a rate of 70. So apparently Louisa is faster. They're saying, which of the following figures best represents Megan's and Louisa's location 120 seconds after they begin to run? If you realize that the 120, when it's divided by 40, it will give you 3, which means because they've run for 120 seconds, Megan will remain in its position. She'll keep going for a full circle and then return back to the same position 3 times within this 120. When the 120 seconds end, she'll be again at her same location. So that's why Megan should remain in the same spot. So it's either this or this or this, but this one is incorrect and that one is incorrect. Now regarding Louisa, Louisa is supposed to be behind her بقد إيه? How much exactly is she behind? So if you divide 120 by 70 on a calculator, that would be 1.7, which means it would have taken a complete circle and 0.7 of a complete circle. It means it shouldn't, if it's مثلا here, that means it's almost 0.3 of a circle. This is 0.5 over circle. This is 0.75. This is 0.25. So this one is 0.1, while this one is 0.25, means quarter of a circle, half a circle, 75 of a circle, 3/4 of a circle. So if they said that this is supposed to be 1.7, Louisa is supposed to be almost close to 3/4 of a circle. H makes more sense in this case, while F wouldn't. Does this make sense, everyone?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
If we're working on 27, there's an equation, so right away I'll just solve it. I'll distribute this negative sign to the bracket. I'll have negative x minus 6 plus the 8 normally equals to 2x plus 14. And then I'll add the like terms, so 3x minus x will give me 2x. Negative 6 plus 8 is negative 2 equals to 2x plus 14. When you reach a level where the x's on the left and the x's on the right are exactly equal to each other, just like this, 2x and 2x, check if the rest are equal. Check if this is equals to this. Since these two are not equal, there is no value for x that would ever make this equation true. There's no value of x. On the other hand, on another example, if for any reason I had something like 3x minus 10 and then equal on the other side 3x minus 10 as well. So yes, this is equals to this, but then this is equals to that. That means that all values of x will give me or will keep this thing true. Does this make sense to you guys? So if the x's removed each other, there are two cases. If the x's removed each other entirely, if the remaining of the equations are equal to each other, if still the equation is true, then it is all values of x. But if the x's removed each other, but the sides are not true, then this means they'll never be equal, no matter what's the value of x. Does that make sense again, everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Type 28. It says here the first 7 terms in an arithmetic sequence are listed below. What's the difference between the mean and the median of the 7 terms? So you know what the word consecutive means? Anyone? You know what does the word consecutive mean?
Repeat it.
Close. Actually, after each other. So consecutive means after each other, or in other words, actually, consecutive means they have the same difference. The numbers after each other that share the same difference. So for example, consecutive integers are 1, 2, 3, and 4, or 4, 5, 6, and 7. These are numbers after each other, and the difference between them is the same every time, which is 1. If I said, for example, 5, 10, 15, and 20, these are still consecutive as well because the difference is the same. If I say consecutive even numbers, then they'll become 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10, and so on. Consecutive odd numbers, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, and so on. So the word consecutive means the numbers are after each other. Now, in consecutive numbers, the mean and the median, which is the average and the median, are always equals to each other, are always the same thing. For example, if I'm talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, the median of these numbers will be the 3, and the mean of this number is still 3 as well, because the median and the mean in all consecutive numbers are equal to each other. When you were told here that this is an arithmetic sequence, then this says that the difference between each term and the next one is the same. So that means that these are consecutive. So that means that the mean and the median are equal to each other. So if they said what's the difference between the mean and the median, it's definitely 0 without calculating the mean or the median or anything. It's just because they're consecutive, then their mean and median must be the same. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Are you all good? So calculating the mean and the median here would just take some time. It will be correct. We're not saying it's not, but it will give you the same answer at the end because they're the same number. So there's no point of calculating it because the difference between them is 0. If for some weird reason they wanted me to find the mean itself, the average itself, I would still not consider to calculate the average. I would just get the middle number because I know for a fact it's equal to the average. I hope again that makes sense. Moving on to 29. You asked what's the product of those complex numbers. Product means we're multiplying, so negative 2i plus 5, and the other one is 2i plus 5. Now, I want you to notice a few things. Generally speaking, whenever I have something like this, x minus x squared minus 9, how can I expand this? Or what is this actually called? Anyone knows?
X minus 3, x plus 3.
Yes, this is called a difference, which means yes, a difference of squares, which means a minus between two things that are squared. So a difference of squares, in order for it to be expanded, it should become x and x, 3 and 3. One of them is added and the other one is subtracted. Now I want you to think about it the other way around, which means if I have any two brackets with the same exact terms, yet one of them is added and the other one is subtracted, I can return them back to their original position by just squaring the first one and squaring the second one, and it's always minus in between. Does this make sense? So I can move from x squared minus 9 to the brackets, and the other way around, I can move from the brackets to the x squared minus 9. Is this okay? Now, if you notice it this way, or if you think about it this way, these two are considered the difference of squares, because if you wrote them this way, 5 minus 2i, and the other one is 5 plus 2i, they're the same exact brackets. One of them is subtracted and the other one is added. In order for me to get them to their original thing, which is in order for me to multiply them, I'll just put the first one squared, and then the second one squared, and a minus sign in between. So that would become 25 plus 4, because I'll have to cross out the I squared and substitute negative 1. 25 plus 4 is 29. The answer is C. So what I'm trying to explain here is just a shortcut to the multiplication. Because the two brackets are exactly the same with the difference of just the middle sign, I can actually, instead of multiply them, quickly get to square the first one, square the second one, and a minus sign in between. If you forgot this part for one or any other reason, just start multiplying and you'll end up with the same result, which is 25 minus 4i squared. Now always again remember that any I squared is removed and instead we substitute negative 1. Are we good?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I mean, I appreciate it. Wallahi. Finally, number 30. Which of the following expressions represents the sum of this and that? Now, both of them are what we call scientific notations. Both of the numbers, the 3.8 times 10 to the power of 5, as well as 6.4 times 10 to the power of 5. We need to get the sum of them, which means we need to add them. Actually, this one's 4, not 5. I'm not sure if the calculators would do that quickly right away. Did you guys try that? Because mine is the app on the phone. Did you guys try the...
It gave 444 and 20.
444 and then 2 zeros?
3 zeros.
3 zeros.
3 zeros.
So how can I write this in a scientific notation form as well? So when you look at the answers, it's either 4.44 or it's 44.4. So if I moved the decimal point from here to here, how many times has it moved? It moved 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It moved 5 units. So I could write it down as 4.4 and 4 multiplied by 10 to the power of 5. So instead of writing this whole thing, I can write it this way. Now, H would then be the correct answer. By the way, the second one is also, this one is also true. Why is it not?
Because it should be the smallest. The dot should be in the left.
To be honest, يعني that's the perfect form. That's عشان it's the scientific notation form. It's okay, but to be honest, this one would also work. I don't think this will happen again in an exam, يعني, because I bet you someone argued about this a lot. So anyway, طيب خلاص. So yes, it's this one. If I needed to put it the same way as these are written, which is one number before the decimal point. One more way to do this is you just need to make sure that the numbers are first with the same 10 to the power of something. Yani, what do I mean by that? And I can change this to become 10 to the power of 5 so that they're both 10 to the power of 5. I leave this as 3.8 times 10 to the power of 5, but then plus, instead of 6.4, I'll move the decimal point one more unit here, so I'll make it 0.64, but now times 10 to the power of 5, just like this one. Now, how do I add these two? I just need to add these, the 3.8 with the 0.64. If you do this on a calculator, 3.8 plus 0.64, it will get you 4.44. And then there's this times 10 to the power of 55 remaining. So here it is. Sorry, 10 to the power of 5 is remaining. So here it is. Does this make sense, everyone? These are two different ways, and they're both okay, either with the calculator or without. Are we good?
Yes.
طيب let's get to work on one more إن شاء الله, أو at least two يعني, hopefully عشان الوقت because of the time, so hopefully we'll get to do more. Let's work on P7. Yeah. Oh yes, it has a table and that one is nice. So P7 right away. Yes.
This one is fun.
Nice, that's good. You tried them?
I did two correct. Yes.
Okay, but it's hard.
I didn't understand the table. That was the problem.
I bet that this was the problem. Start doing those and then we'll fix it. Among them. We'll see. It says Leon has 6.5 yards of ribbon she'll use to make bows. She'll use 3/4 yards of ribbon to make each bow. After Leon has made all the bows possible with the ribbon, what length of ribbon in yards will not have been used to make the bows? So if each bow requires 3/4, then the 6.5 divided by the 3/4 should get me the amount she can, or the number of ribbons she can create. What's this? Okay, so just give me a second to calculate some calculate. I need one of them that can't be divisible by 3. Will not have been used to make bows. I'm blacking out يعني معلش. Just give me a second. I think I'm there's something that I don't get. I solved this question before and now it's I don't know. Wait. Has 6.5 yards of ribbon should use to make bows? Okay, so that's what she has. She'd use 3 over 4 yards of ribbon to make each bow. So what's the problem? After they made all the bows possible with the ribbon, what length of ribbon will not have been used to make each bow? She used
multiply 3 over 4 with 8.
no, not my not my point. My question is like, what? Okay, that's true. But my point is, what's the question? Like, he uses 3 over 4 yards of ribbon to make each bow. Okay, that's good, and he has a total of 6.5 yards. Awesome. So I know the number of ribbons he can create. I can easily find them, which is 8, as you said. Then what's the problem? What length of ribbon in yards will not have been used to make bows? Bow.
We find the
Sorry, say that
we
again.
need to find the remainder. We divide 6.5
By 3 over 4.
0.75.
This is 8.6 something. Yeah. So it's exactly.
Yes, it's 8.666.
It's 8 2 over 3, so the remainder is 2. Okay. This is the remainder. It cannot be. I'm not sure. This doesn't make sense. The question itself, it doesn't make sense to me. I wonder, how did you guys think about it?
If I multiply with the 9, it will be 6.5.
Okay.
Why the subtract this amount of.
Why did I subtract what? I think your internet brother is lagging again. What? No, I can't hear you. طب ماشي. The 600 grams of ribbon should use to make bows. You will use the over yards of ribbon to make each bow. Good. After the ribbon made all the bows possible with the ribbon, and not have been used to make bows. So 6.5. 3 over 4 half. 21 over 32, and that's. What's 21 over 32? It's 0.06, 2 over 3, 0.6, 7 over 8, 0.87. Listen, I'll ask you to skip this one for today, because it's either I have a problem in mind now, because I seriously, it's like I don't get the question at all. So it's not like I don't know how to solve it. It's just that I don't know what they want at all. It doesn't make sense to me. So manage, give me a time where I am okay and I can easily think about it, and I'll do it with you next class probably. So just disregard this one for now, okay?
Okay.
I'm not sure what's up. Anyway, we'll see. So this is the one with too many information there, and it says that he bought this car. You told that this car is right there is miles per gallon, so the consumption is 25 miles per gallon. On 1 gallon of gas, I can move 25 miles, and in the city it becomes 22, and on a highway it becomes 32 per mile. That's the average of them both. 32, 22, 2 plus 22 over 2. No. Combined city and highway. So if you go for some of them are city and some of them are highway, it will become 25. If you just move in the city, it will become 22 miles per gallon. If you just move in the highway, it becomes 32 miles per gallon. Annual costs, it's $2,400. Cost estimates are based on the combined city, a certain number of miles per year the car is driven, and an average fuel cost of $4 per gallon. So they assume that this is 2,400 based on the average combined city and highway at the same time. They say you save $3,500 in fuel costs over 5 years compared to the average new vehicle type. Carl is planning a trip in his new car that will include 350 miles of highway driving. Using the average fuel cost per gallon given in the fuel economy window sticker, which of the following dollar amounts is closest to his total cost of fuel over the 350 miles of highway driving? So I'm just now discussing the highway driving, and I'm thinking of if he moved for 350 miles. So I'll go back and check what was the average or the rate of the highway, and apparently it's 32 miles in each gallon. So 1 gallon will make me move for 320 miles. If I need to move 350 miles, how many gallons will be there? I'll just cross multiply, or in other words, I just need to divide 350 by 32. That would get me the amount of gallons needed. So 350 divided by 32. It's 10.93. I'll use 10.93 gallons. Each gallon costs $4, so I need to multiply what I got times 4. That's all, to know the total amount of cost of the gallon or gasoline or whatsoever that I need, the fuel that I need. So 4 multiplied by 10.93, that's 43.72, and then the closest would be F, 43.75. Are we good on this one?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to 33. The cost estimates are based on a certain number of miles driven per year. To the nearest 1,000 miles, what is this number? Apparently, they told me that the annual fuel cost is 2,400. So I know that the total cost of the fuel is 2,500. How did they calculate this? They calculated this based on the combined city and highway miles per gallon rate. So what's the combined? It's the 25. They've driven, or they've paid, again, it's 25 miles per 1 gallon. So I'll just use the same rate, miles and gallons, 25 miles per 1 gallon. I paid a total of 2,400, and I know that each gallon costs 4. So if I divided this by 4, I'll know the number of gallons that they're talking about. 2,400 divided by 4, that is mainly 600 gallons. So if I use 600 gallons, how many miles am I talking about? I'll cross multiply to find that out. It's 600 multiplied by 25, all divided by 1. So it's 600 multiplied by 25, which is 15,000. They'll move, or they've estimated 15,000 miles. B would be the answer for that. So what's happening is the following. They gave me already the cost of a whole year, which is 2,400. And I thought, okay, then what does that mean? How many gallons am I talking about? So I divided the total by the cost per gallon. And I knew that I'm using 600 gallons, apparently. I need to figure out the 600 gallons would give me how many miles to understand the number of miles they're talking about. So I did that. And I was able to find 600 multiplied by the 25, which is the 15,000. Are we good on this one as well? You want me to repeat
I
it?
didn't understand.
Right. So they said that the cost estimates are based on a certain number of miles per hour. What costs estimates are they talking about? The cost of driving the cost of fuel per year. So they said that the annual fuel cost is $2,400. I'll use this one. Apparently, I used $2,400 on gas. So they wanted to know, this is the cost of how many miles, not how many gallons, how many miles. This number of dollars, if I paid this number of dollars on a car, what's the number of miles this car is supposed to drive? So the first thing I think of, the only rate that I have that includes dollars and something is dollars and gallons. The only rate I have is that each gallon costs $4. So I can divide this by 4 to figure out the number of gallons that this $400 would give me. And apparently they would give me 600 gallons. Yani what they paid for, or the cost they're talking about, should give me a total of 600 gallons of gas. But they don't want the gallons, they want the number of miles that you've driven. And they said here that the cost estimates are based on the combined city/highway miles per gallon. So when I look at the rates that are given here, this is the one that works for the combined city and highway. So I went back and I said, if the 25 miles should be taking 1 gallon, then the 600 miles is supposed to give me a total of how many miles? And then I cross-multiplied, which means I've multiplied the 600 by the 25. Apparently, the 600 gallons should make me move an average yearly miles of 15,000. Does this make a bit better sense, Alim, or not so much?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Not so much, huh? Ask back. If you're confused, then ask. Ask me, where did this come from? Or what did you have in mind? What is it that you think should work and did not work? Things like that.
Where did 1,000 go?
The 1,000 is just to the nearest 1,000 miles. It's like to the nearest tenth or to the nearest centimeter. It's because they don't want you, if you got something like 14,820, you'd assume these are 15,000. It's like an approximation. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Awesome. So the 34, it says, based on the annual fuel cost estimate for this car and the estimate for how much car will save in fuel costs over the next 5 years, what would be the expected annual cost of an average new vehicle? So they said that over the time of 5 years, you'll save $3,500. And this is compared to the average you save $3,500 in fuel costs over 5 years compared to the average new vehicle. And they're here asking for the annual cost of the average new vehicle, of the normal vehicles, not this one. So if you've saved $3,500 over the cost of 5 years, what exactly are you supposed to pay first for the first 5 years if you're using this car? Every year you're supposed to pay $2,400 for fuel. That's what they said. And they said that this over the term of 5 years, so I'll multiply this by 5. I'll know first what's the amount of money that I'll pay over the course of 5 years. I'll pay a total of $12,000. Now they said that this $12,000 have saved me already during the 5 years $3,500. So I should add to this thing, to the 12,000, I should add to it the amount that I've saved, اللي هو the 3,500. That would get me the 15,500. That's the cost of running this new vehicle for 5 years.
So now for just 1 year, in order to get the annual, just per year cost, I'll have to divide this by 5. So the 15,500 must now be divided by 5 to get the cost per 1 year, which is $3,100, which is an H. Again, they told me over the course of 5 years, you'll save 3,500. You'll save 3,500 compared to the other types of vehicles. Now I assumed, okay, so what's the money that I'll pay now if this is the amount that I'll save? They said that each year I'm paying 2,400. So I multiplied the 2,400 by 5 to realize the amount of dollars that I've paid over the course of 5 years, and it gave me a total of 12,000. They said that this over the 5 years, you've now saved 3,500. So what was I supposed to pay? I was supposed to pay a total of 15,500 over again the course of 5 years. So in 1 year, what was I supposed to pay? I'll divide this 15,500 by 5 to get each year, and I got it as 3,100. Is this clear?
Yes, mister.
Now moving to 35. Stay with me so that I can open the other meeting until you, while you're here. I'll get them in and so on. Okay. Now in 35 they say a certain race car has a maximum speed of 240 miles per hour. Which of the following is an expression for the maximum speed in feet per second? And note that the 1 mile is equivalent to 5,280 feet. So right now the maximum speed is 240 miles. These are the miles. And in 1 hour, these are the hours. Apparently they needed to be in seconds. So instead of the hours, I'll change this to become seconds. Apparently the 240 miles will be done in 60, not 60 actually, because the 1 hour has 60. So I'll multiply this by 60, and then each minute has another 60. So I'll multiply again by 60. So the 1 is supposed to be multiplied by 3,600. So I've changed now from
1 mile is equals to 5,280 feet. So we need to multiply.
I did not yet change the miles. I just changed the hours. So I changed the hours to this. Now, to change the miles, instead of, they're saying that 1 mile is equivalent to 5,280 feet. So I multiply the 240 by the 5,280 feet. So to get the number of feet now. So now I have this in feet and this in seconds. They need it to be in 1 second, per 1 second. So I'll cross multiply this way. It's actually 240 multiplied by 5,280 multiplied by 1 and then divided by the third number, which is the 3,600. So when you look at it this way, it's C. So what I did is I worked at each part separately. For the miles, I worked on them, and I got that to change the miles to feet by multiplying the miles by 5,280. For the hours, I changed the hours to seconds by multiplying it by 3,600. Why? Because if I multiplied by 60, I've changed it to minutes, and then multiply by another 60 to change it to seconds. Now they said they want the speed per second, per 1 second. So I need to know if the seconds are 1, what should be the number of feet? And I cross-multiplied, and I got this answer. The cross-multiplication method is done to just keep us organized, that's all, and to keep us know exactly what is the number that I got, because it's written under the same column as the number above it, for example. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Like, please do the exit ticket. Please. And thank you guys for today, and I'm sorry if I got you confused anywhere in the middle. for the next class, inshallah, I'll solve the question that we missed. I don't know what's happening with me in this question there. But I'll figure it out, of course, next time. Just as usual, عادي, we're human beings, so of course there are errors